Okay, Sagittarius is the ninth sign of the zodiac and is very much related to our hips, to our thighs, the hips, and because it has the symbol of, the half man, half horse. So it's like a man always rushing into something. It also has, the symbol of the arrow. So by the arrow, they tend to attack people. Well, not real attack, uh, hit people in their weakest points. So um, you would mostly notice that a lot of Sagittarius tends to say hurtful things, but they're not saying things that are not true. It's true, but it's kind of hurtful. So that's why they have the symbol of the man and an arrow um, with their zodiac sign. It also rules the intuition, the higher mind, the knowledge. It's a bit different with the third house. It's third house also rules with the mind and intellect, but this is more of a higher octave of the third house, which is why Gemini and Sagittarius are very different. Gemini always wants to connect with people, and it always comes in twos. So they tend to want to have, relationships with different kinds of people, wanting to connect with people, and they have fun with that. But with Sagittarius, they also want to have fun, but they are the type of people that cannot be pinned down. And the more you try to chase a Sagittarius, the more it runs away from you. That's something that you probably would need to understand, because the only way for you to really, and the only way for you to really pin down a Sagittarius is when you understand them, understand that they are this type of people. And in my experience, the more you don't care too much about them, the more you don't talk to them, that is the time wherein they engage themselves towards you. But of course, there has to be an attraction there as well for things to come into that certain event or play. But they love it when they are the ones who initiate things. Sagittarius is a very, very aggressive sign. So it's very masculine, and this is the reason why, women who have Sagittarius in their sign tends to have some form of difficulties because it's very aggressive. They tend to be the one who initiate things. Uh, they don't wait too much, and being a woman is being receptive, feminine. So even if they get to they get the person that they want and desire by trying to initiate things, um, at some point of their life, they will always have some form of trouble, like the man not staying for the long haul, those kinds of stuff, and it's also because of the words that they speak tends to be a bit on the harsh side. Sometimes saying the truth is okay, but without tact, um, kind of it turns some people off, and that's just how life is. So they're really, really good with words. So I would say that a lot of Sagittarius can be of a charmer. So you would notice that a lot of Sagittarius are really, really good counselors. Um, they're really, really good with their speech. They're like I would say, philosophers of the zodiac. And they have so much confidence in themselves. And One thing that you probably would need to know about Sagittarius is everything is about liberation. Everything is about freedom. They wanted to be free. Even if relationships are very important to them, they still want to do the things that they want and nothing's just gonna stop them. A lot of people would notice as well that Sagittarius tends to have a lazy side to them. Not really lazy, but more on they tend to procrastinate things, which can be more of a downfall for them because from this they tend to make mistakes repeatedly, so they need to go over it again and again. And the more they see a mistake, or the more they encounter some mistakes, the more experienced and developed they become, and that's just a part of life. So yeah, the only way for you to really understand Sagittarius is by understanding them. You would also notice that at the first half of their life, they tend to be quite superficial. I don't want to say materialistic, but part of their life they tend to be like that. They tend to find comfort with material stuff. But as soon as they get older, the spiritual side of life, the knowledge tends to be heightened. The spiritual side comes into play and have much more importance than the physical and material side to it. So yeah, it is the understanding and superconscious mind side of life, I would say. So yeah, also one of the fun things about Sagittarius is that they crave adventures, and it's always fun to be around a Sagittarius because they're not going to be rigid. They love to try new things. They love travel. They love good food. They love to experience anything that's new. And they are not Capricorn. Capricorn, which we will be discussing up next, is more on the traditional side. They don't really engage themselves with innovative innovative actions, or anything that's modern that has not been tried and tested. And even if it's already tried and tested, it's hard for Capricorns to take action or try it. So I would say that a lot of Sagittarius are really like a genius over something. They think about things that people have not really thought about. You know, and it has some form of similarities with an Aries, but a Sagittarius can implement something. They can take action for it. It's not just on their mind. They can take action for it. Also, there's a note for Sagittarius that there is a need for them to slow down a bit because, sometimes this restless feeling of wanting to run, wanting to move around too fast, too fast and too hard can make them fall down. So it's just like that saying of, when you are in sports, not stretching your body, your hips, your legs before you run and, do an intense workout can make you have some form of strain in your body, or sometimes can be very dangerous for your overall vitality. At some point, a lot of people need therapy later on because of that. So there's a need for them to take care of their legs, their lower part body, and try not to be so much restless in with their stuff. They're also really, really good salesperson because again, their speech has some form of charm to it. It's easy for them to persuade people to, buy a product, So they're really good with their speaking. So, like for example, if you were a businessman and you're thinking of hiring someone, maybe a Sagittarius person would do the job well for you. You know, because they just love to talk, and they tend to notice a lot of things about someone as well. Also, because of their intuition, they they can intuitively know if someone is probably gonna buy something. If they can pursue this person, if they can persuade this person. It's something that they just know. And the what can help Sagittarius is that when tackling a problem is that they just have to repeat and face the darkness, not run away from it, but to face it head on until the darkness dissolves from them. So yeah, and they also need to remember that tact is a virtue because they tend to say things in a very brutal way, I guess. They tend, like for example, I had a friend. Well, not really a friend. It was actually an ex of mine when I was in college. Um, we were still friends at that time, and he tends to criticize people, especially women who are a bit on the chubby side. Um, he would tell that that person was ugly or fat. He can be very mean. But again, not all Sagittarius are this way. It's just a sample that I'm giving out that they can be very blunt with their words, very blunt to the point that it is somehow hurtful for the other person. So yeah. Also, one thing and one funny thing about Sagittarius is that they tend to attract people that are opposite from them. So for that person, he's more of a party guy, but he has gotten a girlfriend that was just, someone who stays at home, doesn't want to party, and I'm totally the opposite of the kind of person that he is. So that's just a sample. And you would notice that a lot of Sagittarius tends to have a partner that is very far from what they want. Like, they want someone who parties a lot, the same as them, but they would tend to get someone quite opposite because opposites attract. And that is much more true and powerful for a lot of Sagittarius. So yeah, what else? Yeah, an undeveloped Sagittarius would still cling to money. Not sure if I mentioned that already. They would cling to the superficial things in life. And even an undeveloped Sagittarius who is confident can be nice, but sometimes an undeveloped Sagittarius can be deceiving in their words, not taking responsibility for their actions. Those are the things that you can notice with a Sagittarius. Also, um, there are times that a Sagittarius can be given to cheat because they are wanting adventure, wanting something that excites them. So I remember a friend of mine, he's a guy, and he is even so proud to tell me that he has three girlfriends. And I was like, so you think that's cool? So yeah, it's going to be different for every Sagittarius, and I'm just giving you guys some form of example that they are at a very adventurous sign. And if you are dealing with a Sagittarius, the best thing that you can do is to let them be, because the more you try to nag them, the more you try to tell them what they should do, what they should not do, the more they have the tendency to rebel. And that's the least thing that you would want, because sometimes they can be they can be like a fire that explodes, you know. They can exaggerate a lot of stuff, basically, for Sagittarius. But they're wonderful people. They're always fun to be around. And when I had a relationship that was more stable, I actually miss the feeling of, always trying new things, always going here, those sleepless nights, those fun and laughter, those kinds of stuff. So they can be really, really fun. But before I forget, they have a loyal side to them as well, especially if you don't pay too much attention to them. They can, have that urge to them that I want to prove to this person that I can be loyal, that I can be the person that they desire. Some Sagittarius will even stop being a player just for that person to pay attention to them. So I kind of feel that sometimes they tend to always want attention. They always need the other person to pay attention to them. And when they don't get that, they tend to do crazy and really crazy and very I wouldn't say hideous, but sort of hideous ways just to get your attention. But either way, Sagittarius are very lovely. They're very intelligent, I would say. And I had really fun experiences with a lot of Sagittarius, but I do know, especially Virgos, a lot of Virgos hate Sagittarius because Virgos are the type of people that want to think about things first before acting, and Sagittarius is more on let's go for it. I'm just gonna speed things up. So so yeah, they can be very much an opposite right there, but at the same time,